Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our politics panel on discussions during round one of the Alberta Next town halls. But first, job creation on the upswing.
So many people have been coming here that it's been hard to keep up. So we've got a little bit of a break with slower population growth.
The Stats Canada Labour Force Survey for June puts Alberta's unemployment rate at 6.8%, down from 7.4% in May and below the national average of 6.9%. So what will it take to make this a long-term trend through times of uncertainty over tariffs? Joining us now, Joseph Schow, Alberta's Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration. Minister, good to see you, sir. Welcome to Alberta Primetime.
Michael, it's great to be with you.
All right, employment, if I'm reading the numbers right, employment rose in Alberta by 30,000 jobs in June, the second increase in 3 months. What do you chalk that up to?
Well, I think the numbers are great, but it doesn't tell the whole story, which is Alberta continues to be an excellent place to invest. It's a stable environment, and we have a great regulatory framework that tells the rest of Canada and the rest of the world that this is a great place to put your money. And so we're really excited about the future of Alberta and the things we're hearing from private investment coming into Alberta.
We heard the clip off the top from ATB's Rob Roach. How much of a role does slower population growth play here?
Sorry, say that again?
How much of a role does slower population growth impact how the job numbers look?
Well, again, I think we look at the broader picture of what is driving employment in this province, and that is investment. We've seen a lot of it in a very short period of time. You know, just going down a very short list, we've seen CGC and de Havilland come into Wheatland County. We recently had an announcement with Lufthansa Technik, which, if you're around during the Calgary Stampede, you would have seen that there were billboards advertising for jobs coming here for that new facility. So, you know, these numbers that, you know, they're important to note. What I think the bigger picture here is we are working very hard as a province with the leadership of our Premier Danielle Smith to make it a stable place to invest, and the investment is coming.
So bigger picture then, to what degree is Alberta escaping the layoffs, scale back in production, said to be happening in other provinces because of tariffs that have been implemented on things like steel and aluminum, and the uncertainty that still lingers? Is Alberta feeling that impact like some of the others?
I think it's important that we're always watching and monitoring what's happening south of the border. We, of course, endorse a tariff-free relationship with our largest trading partner, the United States of America, but also understand that we have other opportunities around the world. We've been looking at other nations like Japan and Korea, Argentina, United Arab Emirates, all countries that are very interested in being trade partners with Alberta. And as we diversify those relationships, I think you'll continue to see more investment coming here, and that will certainly continue to de-risk Alberta. So I'm very excited about the future, and we've laid a very strong foundation for future growth in our province.
Given comments from the Prime Minister, there are now doubts about securing what you mentioned a moment ago, a tariff-free deal with the Trump administration. So with trade falling in your cabinet portfolio, what are you watching for now in those talks? What's key from Alberta's perspective, and what comes next?
Well, at the moment, it's a bit of a wait and see in terms of what that deal renders. But, you know, here in Alberta, we are continuing to focus on being a province with a very skilled labor force, with a very low regulatory count that is stable and is seen as a safe place to invest. So we will continue to do missions to other jurisdictions around the world to promote Alberta as that place to be a partner with. And, you know, that's really what we're focusing on right now. I think it's also important to note domestically that we are continuing to break down internal trade barriers with our provincial counterparts, and we're seeing quick movement there as well.
Well, and to build on that, and the trade relations beyond the U.S., it was during Stampede, Alberta and Ontario inked memorandums of understanding to strengthen the interprovincial trade, drive development around pipelines. So in the wake of that, now that that's underway, what are you looking for next where other provinces are concerned?
Well, I won't go and scoop any announcements from the Premier's office, but what I can say is our Premier has been tirelessly working with her provincial and federal counterparts to make sure that we have a very trade-friendly relationship with our neighbors to the east and to the west. We will continue to fight for what's best for Alberta, and I think the Premier's done a great job. And so, that memorandum of understanding that we signed over Stampede is just one piece of the broader puzzle of making sure that we are a very favorable place to invest, and we're sending that signal to the private sector.
What do you see coming from that MOU with Ontario? Is there something tangible?
Well, what I think is important to note is, Ontario sees the importance of a good trade relationship with Alberta, and we want to continue to explore that. So really appreciate Premier Ford coming out to Alberta and signing that memorandum of understanding, bringing a number of his ministers as well, as a show of support for Alberta and us a show of support for Ontario in breaking down the trade barriers. So that is the bigger message here. We will continue to work with our counterparts across the country to improve trade and labor mobility.
Okay, so communication with other provinces. What about communication with First Nations communities? How does that fit into the equation? We mentioned Ontario, both Ontario and the federal government now facing legal challenges against legislation to fast-track infrastructure projects.
Again, I don't think a whole lot changes because there's always a duty to consult with First Nations and make sure that projects that we are, that we're looking to move forward are consulting with First Nations. So I don't think a whole lot changes there. But again, the uncertainty across the line with the United States has really forced the conversation about breaking down these barriers of internal trade within Canada, something Alberta has been doing for quite some time. Several years ago, we removed almost all of our exceptions and really continue to look at those and how we can build those relationships. So I'm grateful that other provinces are taking note of the success Alberta has had and the leadership of our Premier Danielle Smith.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate your time this evening, Minister Schow. Thank you kindly.
Thank you, Michael.
Joseph Schow is Alberta's Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration.